tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. So today we will discuss the questions that were posted in the Q&A paper. I hope everyone can see and hear me clearly.
Yes,
Because
Pandey.
there was a problem in my earphone. Okay, right. So we stopped at the question number 10 about the short lifespan and the long lifespan of Buddha and its relationship with the Buddha Sasana, and about the noble beings who are in the divine and Brahma realm. Actually, there is a problem in explaining why they do not teach Dhamma. Then number 11 question, in this line of the Bahya Sutta, Patako Bahyasa Daruchiriyasa Rahogatasa Patisallina Sevam Chetaso Paritakko Udapadi. If I remember it correctly, the Rahogatasa Patisallinasa was understood as the adjectives or modifiers of the Bahyasa Daruchiriyasa. Is it possible to understand this line as genitive absolute as well? So that it would become something like, then while Bahi Daruchirya was withdrawn and secluded, his thought arose to him. That case, Daruchiryasa Rahogatasa Patisallinasa. It is possible. I would not say not possible, but I think because of this Chetaso Parivitakko Udapadi. So Bahyasa
Yes,
Daruchiryasa.
Pandey.
Okay. Bahyasa Daruchiryasa is normally it's taken as the dative case, some as genitive, because it is connected to this thought which arose to him.
Sorry, Bante, are you
Yeah.
sharing the screen, Bante?
Yeah.
The screen that doesn't appear, Bante.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bante.
So then this Bahyas Daruchiriyasa is commonly connected with Parivitako Udapadi. The thought arose to him. So it is written as dative or genitive case. Normally it's taken as dative because the thought arises to him. So that's why Bahya Daruchirya is dative, and then of this Bahya Daruchirya, who has gone into seclusion and who has gone into a alone place, who's staying alone. So if someone says, is it possible to understand this line and as the genitive case, possible, genitive absolute, but then still we have to say to whom this Chetaso Parivitakko Udapadi, to whom it aroses. Otherwise, it's like Bahya Daruchirya, while Bahya Daruchirya was in seclusion, a thought arose to him, but to whom? A thought, the genitive absolute, we have difficulty is naming to whom this thought arose. So that's why normally we consider it as the dative connected to this Chetaso Parivitakko, considering. But if you consider, if someone says, is it possible to consider it as, when we translate, it would, but technically, because this is dative and genitive cases are identical in their appearance, that is also a possible way. You can take it as genitive absolute, but because of this incident, like this arising of a thought, so it's connected to the person, the person in him, the thought arises should be written in dative or genitive case. So that's why we normally say this is a case indicating to whom the thought arose. If you have any questions on this. Okay. So then we go to the next question. This question is related to the sentence Gamini Kumaro Dharakale Yeva Elarena Sading Jitun Chandan Janesi. In Panchavisi Sajaya 25th lesson, the Sharans. This sentence can be translated as the Prince Gamini Kumara, even at his young age, arose to decide to fight together with Elara. According to the context, it appears that here to fight together actually means to fight against, meaning to go head to head, not to go side by side. So the question is, how is the following sentence said in Pali? A together with B fights against C. So if you write in, this is a very good question. I discussed with my friend also. It's normally when you fight against someone in Pali text, many places, number of places, when you fight against someone, it again. So normally in the text, in the Pali literature, when you are fighting against someone, head to head against someone, the word used is sadding. So it governs the instrumental case. At the same time, when you're fighting together with someone, it means your comrades or the soldiers you fight together. With something. So it's very two ways of saying fighting against and fighting together. So if you take for instance, Raja is A, Senapati, B, and if we take C, C as the enemy, for instance, enemy is normally called Ari. C is Ari. So this say A together with B fights against C. So what we have to say is Raja Senapatina Sadding Arina Sadding Yujati. Right. So this can lead to a great confusion. We don't see such a sentence used in Pali normally. We see fighting against someone. Not the both are used in the same place. So then it's better to say Senapatina Sadding Samagam. Something like we have to put an additional word to show that, to differentiate who is the enemy and who is the comrade. So when you want to say for the comrade, we say Samagam. Samagam means together as Samagam ekato hutva, having become one, having come together. So some kind of a word, it's better to use some kind of, technically this sentence is correct. technically this is a 100% correct sentence without samagama even. But this can lead to a lot of confusion. So there are some, even in English, we have some technically correct sentences, but which can lead to some difficulty to understand. So in this case, it's better to use an extra word like a gerund, especially, or so although also we can say attano, like his own senapati. So it shows normally that he's together with him, but at the same time, if he's making a is doing a rebellion, then that Attano will not act. Attana means Attano Sena, his own. So if the Senapati, the Senapati is the minister, like the general, if the general is in a rebellion against the king, then that would also be a problem. So then, but Arina Saddin Yujati. So when you say enemy, so we understand that he's fighting against it. And also in such cases, it's not just a one sentence we get in Pali. Normally we get the Pali sentence in a context. So the context is also will also enables you to understand with whom you are fighting against. It's not just a one sentence doesn't appear. One sentence may appear in a textbook while we are studying the Pali, but normally these kind of sentence comes in stories. So when you're reading the story, it's the sentence is not coming out of nowhere. So it's coming connected to the context. So then in that case, you'll be able to understand with whom he's fighting and who is the comrade. Otherwise, it's also better to use another word to show, differentiate these two sadding are the same word together, but they have two different contextual meanings. Here, he's fighting against with the Ari, with the Senapati, he's fighting together. Yeah, so that's what I would say. Otherwise, there is no, we don't find a specific word which indicates, which can be only used against for fighting against. Yeah. So if you have any questions on this.
Yes, hi Bante.
Yeah. Hello, Dr.
Yeah, so I couldn't hear you very well at the beginning. So what kind of word is samagama, Bante?
Samagama is a gerund.
Okay, I see.
Samagama is a gerund. It's normally better uses a gerund mostly, but there can be some other past participles also sometimes we may be able to use, but gerund is very clear. So
I
this
see.
sum
So having coming
plus
together
r.
with, okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. Gum
Okay, thank you, Bante.
plus yeah. Okay, so any questions? We will go to the question number 13. This question is concerned with the part in Abhidhamma Pitaka. Yamaka Pali, Patamo Bago, Kanda Yamaka, Pavati Upad Nirodha Varo, Atitanagat Varo, Pachanek Pukulokasa. So for the students who are not familiar with Yamaka, so what does say this number say is this question is found in Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitaka has 7 books. That the number 6 book is Yamaka. Yamaka has 2 sections, so this is in the first book. Then the Yamaka have 10 topics, 10 chapters. So this is the first chapter, Kanda Yamaka. Then Kanda Yamaka is I think you might remember it's threefold: Pavattivara, Panyattivara, Pavattivara, Nirodhavara. So then this is no Panyattivara, Pavattivara, and Parinyavara, if I remember. So then Pavattivara is a subsection of the Kandayam, this chapter. Then it is the Upada Niro. It means there are subsections. So Upada Nirodhavara is another subsection. Patitanagtavara is another subsection. Pachanika Pugoloka is another section. That is how why these namings were given, because this is how you zoom in into the question. So when you have this guidance, when the question was posted, I was able to go into the exact question following these guidelines. So this is why for the students who are not familiar with the Yamaka, so these are the top book topics, like top chapters, subtopics. subtopics, and so finally you go into the question, which can be found in Yamaka Pali 1, and also with the page number, you could go directly. So then even we don't have the exact page number, because of this guidance, we are able to go there. Then the question is, yassa yatta rupakando upajyati tassa tatta vedanakando na nirujjisati. So this is a question, right? This is a question. So this is also another indicator. So you can see this is a question, but there is no question particle used. Normally when a question particle, we have to use nu, right? Or king, something like that. Something with ka, or something like nu, apinu, some kind of a particle. So here, there is no such a particle. So if we analyze the question, yassa yatta rupakando nupajjita is a past tense word. Upajjati is present tense. Upajjitta is a past tense. Nupajjitta means na plus upajjitta didn't arise, did not arise. Right? This is a past tense, third person singular. Because if I explain a little bit of grammar here for the students who are not very familiar with this usage, we in past tense we have e, e is the singular. E is the this is the verbal terminations. Then is the plural. Third person plural is Philologically, we have different kind of we can have different terminologies. O, this is second person singular and plural. Ing is third person singular. Ha is the third person, first person singular and first person plural. So this e, sometimes there is another additional one. Philologically, we can explain it differently, but here we have the optional one. So sometimes e like upajji is also third person singular. Upajjitta, before itta, e is inserted. So upajji, upajjitta both refers to third person singular past tense, right? So this one is na plus upajjitta. Na is no, like didn't arose. Upajjitta arose. Na is didn't arose. Rupakando is subject. Yassa is to whom? To whom Rupakando didn't arise. But this is also, this says Puggala Okasa. Yassa says the Puggala to any person. But Yatta means somewhere. So he's referring to both Puggala and Okasa. To a person in a certain world, Rupakando didn't arise in past tense. Tassa tatta, to him, in that every place. So Yassa is the person, Tassa is also the demonstrative of the person. Yatta is that which where place, Tatta is that demonstration of that place. That place here means the world. 31 planes we have existence, right? So here Tatta is that one of the 31 planes. Vedana kando na nirujjisati. Nirujjisati means passes away. Nirujjati. This na is not negation. This is the negating na. Nirujjati is passes away. Uppajjati, nirujjati. So nirujjisati is future. Na is not. Right? Does will not cease. So in normal, if you translate, the translation is given. Matter aggregate had not arisen to a person at this place. Has not arisen. Right? Then will feeling aggregates not cease to that person at that place. If to a person matter aggregate has not arisen in a certain realm, all right, will the feeling aggregate vedana not ceases to that person, will not cease to that person at that plane, at that very plane. So here we have the past tense and future tense. So in the Kanda Yamaka, when we using a present tense, we are talking about the arising of the Kanda. That is at the moment of. So another point is when we say Upajjati, we are talking about the arising of Kanda, not momentary arising at the moment of Patisandhi. That is arising. Nirujjati also, we are talking about not the momentary passing away, we are talking about the passing away at the moment of death. That is called Upajjati, Nirujjati. Upajjati and Nirujjati. So upajjati refers to the arising of matter or whatever aggregate at the moment of patisandhi. Nirujjati, we are focusing passing away at the moment of death. Then we say upajjitta and upajjitta. Then nirujjisati, upajjitta and nirujjisati. So that one is now, this is the, I think this is the point that if we get this point, the question will be clear. So when something, now at the moment of for example, past lives, then we have patisandhi, then we have the continuation of life, and then we have chuti, and then we have another patisandhi. This patisandhi is a new life. Then we continue, and we have chuti. Here also we had chuti in the previous life, and there was, it's a new life, and here we have patisandhi. So then, according to the explanations given in Yamaka and also explained in Myanmar, when we talk about upajjitta in the past tense, so we can have two upaj. For example, when we are considering about the patisandhi moment, for instance, when we are considering the patisandhi moment, we can say, when we are considering patisandhi moment, we can, for instance, we can say to him, Rupa Kanda has already arose in the past, because in the past life it has arisen. Right? For us, for example, we are in human realm. To us, in past lives, Rupa Kanda has arisen in previous patisandhis. So then, at the moment of chuti, Rupa Kanda has arisen to us in previous lives of the patisandhi, and also of the at the patisandhi of this life. So when we say upajjitta to a moment of patisandhi, because in Kanda Yamaka we are talking about two moments only, moment of patisandhi and moment of chuti. We don't talk about in between moments in Kanda Yamaka. So at the moment of patisandhi, I'll repeat again, if we say Rupa has arisen to him, it has arisen in past life, many a past life. If we are talking about chuti moment, if we talk about the Rupa has arisen to him, we can have it has arisen in past life, many past lives, and also at the moment of patisandhi in that very life. These are the two possibilities. But according to the tradition, so when we say upajjitta, at this moment we are talking about the patisandhi, Rupa has any aggregate has arisen in past lives. Even at this moment, we don't consider the patisandhi of this life. So even at the moment of chuti, when we say whether the Rupa has arisen or not arisen, it depends on not of the arising moment at the patisandhi. We negate this, we neglect this. We are talking only about the past lives. So when we say upajjitta, this only refers to the past lives. Right? But the thing is, when we say nirujjisati, right? But when we say nirujjisati, will pass away. So, for instance, we are talking about a person who is not an arahant, in future, because he will be born again. Rupa will pass away in future lives. And also, at the moment of patisandhi, the Rupa will pass away in future lives, and also at the end of this life. But for the nirujjisati, we consider, if we are talking about the chuti moment, we are talking about the cessations in future lives. But in this life, at the moment of patisandhi, when we say nirujjisati, we take both the passing away, death of this life and death in future lives. So that is the point. That is why it is, in that case, it's not consistent. So when we say, I'll repeat again, nirujjita is past, nirujjisati is future. But when we say nirujjitha or upajjitha, we are talking only about arising and ceasing happen in past life. Even while at the moment of chuti, we don't consider the arising in the patisandhi moment of this life. Then if we're talking about the nirujjisati or upajjisati, we are talking nirujjisati, upajjisati will be always the arising of future patisandhi. Nirujjisati can be ceasing of in future lives and also in the present life. So that is why the question comes. Now, another thing for the students who are not very familiar with Yamaka, another Dhamma point, we are never born in Suddhavasa. Any being is born in Suddhavasa only one time. There is no two rebirth in the same Suddhavasa. You can be born in 5 Suddhavasas only 5 times. There is no repetition births in Suddhavasa. So it's very sure anyone who is born in the human realm has never been born in Suddhavasa. That is a Dhamma point in our tradition. So we are talking about a person in that realm. So matter aggregate had not arisen to this person at this plane. It means we are talking about Suddhavasa in one sense, as all because matter we have not born there. And also we are talking about Arupa Loka because there's no Rupa in Arupa. We have surely been born in Arupa, all of us. But when we are possible to arise matter. So here, when matter aggregate had not arisen to a person in that plane, we have 2 planes, Suddhavasa, Upajjantana, Arupana. Right? So Suddhavasanam, Upajjantana. At the moment of arising for the Suddhavasa beings, Rupakanda has not arisen to them because there is no previous life, no second rebirth in Suddha. So this will be the first and only. Right? So Suddhavasa, Upajjantana. Arupana. In Arupa world, we are born in Arupa world many times, but matter aggregates do not arise there, right? Arupanam te santatta rupakando nupajita has not arisen. Nocha te santatta vedanakando na nurujjusti, right? So nocha te santatta vedanakando na nirujjusti. So it is not that, right? It is not that the feeling will not cease. So there are 2 ners. No and na. No and na has the same meaning. No and na, same meaning. So na nirujjisati means will cease. Will cease. Na nirujjisati means will not cease. No na nirujjisati means will cease. When having 2 negations, it's the positive thing. Right? So one who is born in the Suddhava, at the moment of Patisandhi, in the Suddhavasa, Rupakanda has not arisen to him in that life. To Arupa being, Rupakanda has not arisen, even though he's born in that realm, Rupakanda has not arisen in that realm. But, right, but Vedana, because Arupa beings have Vedana, Suddhavasa beings also Vedana. So at the moment of death in that life, it will cease. It will cease. Surely it will cease. So that's why I say no na nirujjisati. It is not that it will not cease. So it means it will cease. But then Suddhavase parinibbantana. For the ones who are passing away in Suddhavasa, means who are passing away in Suddhavasa, completely passing away, or we can also say Chavantana. Arupe parinibbantana, right? Arupe parinibbantana, because ones who are passing away in the Arupa world, Tesan Tattha, right? Tesan Tattha, to them they are Rupakando na nupajita. Because now at the moment of Chuti, that's why in the beginning I said technically Rupa Vedana Rupakanda has arisen to him, right? Rupakanda has arisen to him. But since in the past tense we are not taking about the Patisandhi of that life, we say Suddhavase Parinibbantana. At the moment of Chuti also, Rupakanda has not arisen to them in that life. Then for the Arupa being, for surely there is no Rupakanda in that life. Tesan Tatta, for them, Rupakando na upajita, Rupa has not arisen. Vedana Kando cha na nirujjistiti. For the Arupa beings, there is not going to be any, because you are attaining Parinibbana, right? Parinibbana, so there will be no any rebirth in Arupa again. And also in Suddhavasa, there will be no second rebirth in Suddhavasa. So the Vedana Kanda will not cease in future because that is the last life of them For the Suddhavasa beings, that's the last life in that realm. Arupa beings, that's the last life completely. Maybe a Suddhavasa can also be the last life if he's attaining Paranibbana. So this one, at that Shruti moment, there will be no, because there is no future life to them in that realm, there will be no cessation of the Vedana in future, but there has no reason arising in the past of Rupakanda. Why this is possible? Otherwise, it would be really contradicting. The rule is when we say Upajita or Nirujita, we only focus on the past lives. But when we say Upajisati, or especially Nirujisati, we take the passing away. At the moment of Patisandhi, we take the passing away of Chuti and also the passing away of Chutis in the future lives. I hope we got the idea. If you have any questions on this.
Yes, hi, Bhante.
Okay, that's right.
So you said that for the Nupajita, then we have to consider the past life, not the Patisandhi moment of this life. Then is that your observation, or is it that somewhere in the literature, something?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, that's how I discussed with this my friend, because I also had the question on it. Then he clearly mentioned there is a rule in, and he mentioned that is a rule which is taught to them. So when you say the past tense, it is always the past lives. Even at the moment of Chuti, we don't consider the arrival. That's how they teach in Myanmar, the traditional.
I see. Yes, I thought about this a lot, actually a lot. And then, in fact, this is what I think. I would love to have your opinion. So over there, you give the declension of the past tense. Then you said that for the third person singular, it can be either E or ta. But I didn't know that. But then, so before that, I thought about this, and I think that this is not the simple path. This is the parokha. It is not ajatani or piyatani. It is parokha. Because in parokha, in parokha we have the the third person. This is the third person. It's not the second para. I mean, we have ta, re, to, wo, eme. So that ta, I think that ta is used in this case. And then we know from Rupa Seti that for the parokha, it refers to the distant past. And it used to describe an action that is not in the presence of the speaker. So if we think about that, then because we talk about this life, then when the Buddha used the parokha, he means not in this life. That's what it means. It has to be some in the past, not in the present of the speaker in this life. So it has to be the past life. It cannot be in this life. That's what I think.
Right. So it means always when we use the past tense, and if we consider it is not in this life, so it is not the ajatani or hiyatani. It was used the parokka to show that it's a distant past.
Yeah, that's what I think, Bhante.
Okay.
Because here we refer to both Pukkala and Osaka. So here we know that So in past life, he's a completely different. It's not the same person anymore. So that's what it means. I think so. That's why it's not in the presence of that person. So it cannot be the Patisandhi in this life. It has to be some way in the past.
Okay. It's a good suggestion. Yeah, I think because why use the utta instead of e, right? And also technically we are not considering anything any Patisandhi in this life. So otherwise, from the Nirujisati refer to the Chuti of this life and Chuti in future lives, both. But
Yeah.
when it comes to the past tense, we ignore this Patisandhi, but we take only the past Patisandhi of past. Yeah, it's a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I'll discuss this with my friend also, and say it as a good opinion from you, and I'll have a discussion with and also think about it, and we'll discuss it further. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you so much, Bante.
Excuse me, Bante.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because why that thing was used? Yes, yeah.
I wonder if I heard it correctly or not.
Yes,
You
I can
said
hear you.
that in
Sister Uttama, yes.
yeah, in the Sudavasa, one can
Hello?
be reborn 5 times, right?
Hello.
Hello, I wonder if I heard it correctly, but I think I heard you say that in Sudavasa, that person can be reborn.
Five
Five
realms,
times.
because Sudhavasa have five, right? 5 realms. The entire Sudhavasa you can
So they can move from one realms to another in Sudavasa.
5 times means there are 5 Sudhavasa. Maximally you can be born 5 times in each world, 1 in each.
But in another sentence, you say that there is no second rebirth in Sudavasa. Does that mean that well, once you come to Sudavasa, there is no going out and coming back again? Can I understand it that way?
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, yes. There is 2 things. Sudhavasa is never reborn in the same realm, right? Never reborn in a lower Sudhavasa. You can never be born in the same Sudhavasa realm. You can never be born in the lower Sudhavasa realm. And you will never be born out of the Sudhavasa realm, either up or down. So if you go into Sudhavasa, you will end up in Sudhavasa.
So it's like going to a 5-story building.
Only possibility is you go up into few Sudhavasa, no way out, and no coming down. You climb up the lift, there is no way down, only up. Either you attain Parinibbana in a certain Sudhavasa realm, or you are born in a higher realm. That's it. There's no way out of the Sudhavasa boom.
And there's only one way up in the lift, and there's no going out of the building and coming back again, like that.
Yeah, yes, and also no way going out. So that's why if you are born in Akanita, it's sure that's the last.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Bante.
Okay.
So Bande? Hello, Bande?
Yeah.
So you also explained about the Aruba. So how about the Aruba?
I can hear you. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, you are mentioning the Aruba beings. So I couldn't understand that point.
You mean about the Patisandhi, about
the Judy.
Arupa here, because we are question is about the Rupa Kanda, right? Rupa Kanda has a reason. So in Arupa realm, there is no Rupa, right? So that's why Rupa Kanda not a reason. Sorry, Rupa Kanda not a reason. So in Arupa world, yeah. No, not Shruti. For example, Rupa Kanda has not question comes, Arupa will be always there because there is no Rupa in Arupa. The question comes to someone in a certain realm, Rupa Kanda did not arise. So in Arupa, this question is Rupa Kanda not arising to a certain being in a certain realm. So since in Arupa world there is no Rupa, you overcome the Rupa and go and born there. So that's why Arupa was taken. Is it clear, Sally?
So sorry, man, I couldn't hear the last sentence. You said Aruba was
Yeah.
something like that.
Arupa was not taken here. Arupa was taken here. Arupa was taken here because we are talking about the non-arising arising of Rupa Kanda. In the Arupa realm, there is no arising. They never arise in Rupa Arupa. Rupa Kanda never arises. That's why we have taken.
But in the following, they also
Suddhavasa, because we are talking about did not arise in past, right? In Suddhavasa, it's only one and only life in a certain Suddhavasa. So there has no, any of Kandas has arisen in him before life, past lives. In Arupa world, it's impossible to have Rupa. So even, yeah.
I mean, Bani, in the second sentence about the Arube Barini Bandana.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Bani.
Yeah. So yes, Arupe Parani. What is the question?
I mean, for the Aruba beings, how can they enter the Barinibana?
Hello. You can hear me. Hello.
Hello, Bani, can you hear me?
Because Sotapanna born in the Arupa realm can enter Parinibbana. A higher noble, lower noble. Sotapanna, Sakadaga, Sotapanna does not need a teacher to attain Parinibbana.
I see. Okay, thank you, Bani.
So shall we move to the next question? Question number 15. In Vinaya, it mentions Suttan Geyang Vayakaranam Gata Udana Ituttakam Abhuta Dhammam Vedalla. What are the Geya Abhuta Dhammam and Vedalla? Here, there is a long explanation in the Vinaya commentary on this. Normally, if I explain each and every, because some students may not know the meanings of these, but these are 9 sasana. 9 sasana means 9 parts of the sasana, Sattu sasana. Navanga Sattu sasana we call. Nava Anga, 9 parts of the Buddha's teachings. So we normally divide Buddha's teachings in 3 Nikaya, 3 baskets, right? 5 Nikaya and 9 Sattu sasana. Sutta refers to any teaching. That is how the tradition interprets. Sutta refers to any teaching. Any teaching can be called sutta. And these Geya and remaining 8 are accepted. So all the teachings can be called sutta, whatever teachings. And Geya is the suttas together with Gatha, not only Gatha. Any sutta together with Gatha is called Geya. Then then what happens? Vyakarana, according to the sub-commentary, is the explanations given to questions. But it also includes Abhidhamma, according to the tradition. So some detailed explanations we can call. But the sub-commentary says any explanation given to a question. But the commentary also says any sutta without gata. So Geya is sutta with gata, sutta without gata are Vyakarana. Sutta without gata, whole Abhidhamma Pitaka, and also all the Sagatha Vagga in Samyutta Nikaya, all Sagatha Vagga, because they normally go as question and answers. Maybe that's the reason. So there is a difficulty to understand because Geya means Sutta with Gata, but Vyakarana, if you can find this in Parajika commentary, page number 22. Parajika commentary, page number 22, as explanation on this. So Vyakarana, they have given few meanings. One is Vyakarana is Sutta without Gata, and also Sagatha Vagga, right, of Samyutta Nikaya, and Abhidhamma. We know Sagatha Vagga has suttas with gathas. Normally, Sagatha Vagga is normally suttas with gata. If you read over, they consider the like Dhammapada and so forth. These are the gathas. But then a question can come, what about Mangala Sutta? Mangala Sutta is also gathas, but they put it in sutta. They have put it in sutta. The verses uttered not as sutta, not defined as sutta. Dhammapada is just a one verse. But Mangala Sutta is a one sutta uttered in gathas. Ratana Sutta is a one sutta uttered in gathas. So that goes into sutta. Then sutta covers entire teachings. So remaining 8 are like special attributes. So whatever which doesn't fall into this 8, will be put in, can be put in sutta, right? Can be put in sutta because sutta covers everything. That is how the sub-commentators explain. Then, but the commentary says that is this is a little bit. I'm also not very clear about this. Commentary says whatever is not included in the 8, remaining 8 will be put in Vyakarana. Right? I'm unable to say what is that. I have to go do more thorough studies for this to explain it. So roughly, sutta can be any teaching, and the explanations they are given is Mangala Sutta, Ratana Sutta. And why they don't put into Gatha? Because they are uttered as suttas. But Dhammapada is a Gatha section. Only Gatha. They are not considered sutta. Udana is the teachings, gathas uttered with happiness. I think we discussed about this, what the meaning of Udana, with Somanasa, Patasanyutta. Itivuttaka is a special teachings. You can find this in Itivuttaka. At the end, Uttang Hitam Bhagavata Arahatati Mesuta, something like that. It starts. Jataka is Jataka, you all know. Abhuta Dhamma means teachings which contain like very unusual teachings. Like, for example, Satta Suryodhamana, how the destruction of the world happens. And Pahara Sutta. Qualities of the ocean and compare how to say Buddha's dispensation. Like the suttas, like which are abhuta means like exceptional, like not normal teachings. Then Vedalla is the teachings. The commentary says Vedalla means questions which were asked. Vedalla has to be a question and answer discussion. But when you listen to this, when the listeners have uttered their happiness or pleasure, their respect towards the sutta. Vedalla refers to wisdom, and in Vedalla suttas, the listener has got wisdom and happiness. Because when you listen to some suttas, you feel very happy. So it doesn't mean that now any sutta for a devoted person, any sutta would bring happiness depending on his character, on his or her character. But here Vedalla means, especially Chula Vedalla, Mahavedalla. Mahavedalla is a discussion between Sariputta and Kottita. Chula Vedalla is the discussion between Dhammadina and Visakha. Visakha was her husband in the Veda. Dhammaditi Sutta, questions raised by monks and Sariputta explained. Sakka Panya, Buddha explained to Sakka. Sakka asked the question. So likewise, Mahapunnama Sutta is a very nice sutta because one arahant. So remember, one monk asked a question and Buddha explained by memory. So these are all question and answer suttas, but at the end, the listener has expressed their happiness, joy towards that sutta. That is called Vedalla, right? So then, whatever doesn't fall into Vedalla, according to supplementary, should be classified as sutta. But according to commentary, so far what I have read, maybe my reading was not very good. Whatever doesn't count into 8 is fall into Vaiyakara. Then some commentators say sutta covers everything. The word sutta can cover everything. We have given a lot of examples. Even Vinaya falls into this. Even Vinaya falls into this sutta. Vinaya also falls into sutta. Because sometimes Vinaya rules where we take it as sutta. Suttagatan sutta pariyana, in the Patimokkha we have Suttagatan sutta pariyapannam anvaddamasang uddesang agacchati. So when someone is listening to Patimokkha, it was referred as sutta, the teachings, the rules that come in sutta. Sutta means the Vinaya rules. So sutta covers everything. Yeah, if you have any questions on this.
Bante?
Yes, Brother Robert.
So last time, if I remember correctly, when I attend the class about the Kaccayana, the introduction to Kaccayana, the teacher said that the word sutta has the meaning like thread, Bante. So sutta can also in Kaccayana refers to the grammar, right, Bante? So how about in the the discourse? Is there any relation with the simile of the thread, Bante? So that the discourse are called sutta?
This is, you are talking about the word formation. Sutta is like a thread. So there are 5 or 6 word formations for the sutta. So this is, we were telling what are the suttas. So these are 2 things. What represent the sutta is what we discuss now. And what is the word formation of sutta? It's like a thread, something like suttato, what was said, well said. So these are the definitions. So I think a thread was like, it is connected. I'm not very sure about the definition, my memory. Sutta was like meanings were connected like a thread. One meaning to another is connected like a thread, something like that. So you can find this explanation in the Vinaya commentary. This in the same commentary from which I gave you this explanation of these things. Attana suchanato, suttato, savanatota, sudanato, suttana, sutta sabhagatocha, sutta. So there are 6-7 definitions, right? So that is why it was said as a sutta, like a thread. By going to that, Tachakana Sutta Pramanam Hoti, Sutta Sabhagan. This one is Sutta. Sutta is the thread is used by So Yatacha Suttena Sanghitani Puppanena Vikiriyantina. So when flowers are connected with the sutta means the thread, they don't spread away, right? So the same way, the teachings which were uttered as suttas would remain, would not be scattered. So that is the explanation given in the comment. That is a word formation you're asking.
Okay, Bante. Thank you, Bante.
So then we go to the next question. Then we have a question about arahang. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho. Is it neuter gender or nominative singular? No, this is not neuter gender. This is masculine singular, because gachant, arahant, is a present participle, right? The gachant, nominative is gachant, gachang, gachanto, and plural is gachanto, gachanta. So in the same way, arahant, arahant. Nominative singular, masculine gender. Then in a grammar book which was compiled in Sinhalese, with gathering all information from many other grammar books, declination book. So it gives a very special paragraph for this word arahang. So according to this, arahang, normally this is nominative singular, masculine gender nominative, sorry. Yeah, nominative singular, masculine gender nominative singular. If you want to make it feminine gender, for example, now this is addition. So arahang, itipiso bhagava arahang is nominative singular, masculine gender. But for your additional knowledge, when you make it feminine gender, gachant, we normally say we have two possibilities. And without n, gachati, right? Without n, gachati. Then we decline it as nadi, gachanti, 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 something like that. Gachati, gachati, gachati. But for the arahant, the declination, nominative singular and the remaining, but normally other cases are a little bit rare, but so it is found as arahang is found in masculine, feminine, and neuter, both, all three. Examples are given. Masculine arahang is very clear because when you refer to Buddha, it's masculine. Then itti arahant samma sambuddha, because you find Attana Pali, the Buddha says, since the Buddhahood is very difficult, you have to endure a lot of suffering for that. So only a male can become a Buddha. So he says, itti arahang samma sambuddho. So the word goes as attana metang anavakaso. It is impossible that a woman become an samma sambuddha, right? So here itti arahant samma sambuddho. So the teacher is suggesting that here this is feminine, should be feminine gender, but this is seems like the book says this is it's used in feminine gender, right? But it seems like the arahant samma sambuddha was the usage of a Buddha. So it's like, otherwise it would have been itti arahati samma sambuddha as in feminine gender. But we would never, in our tradition, we would never use the feminine gender for the samma sambuddha because exclusively we define him as a male. So maybe there's a reason, but the book says, it's a very learned, renowned late Mahathera. He says this is how its arahang is used in feminine gender. Then for the neuter gender, arahang chitta. Right. Arahang chitta. The chitta, which I'm not sure what is the meaning on this. You can check this in the grammar. So it can be a chitta which is free from defilements or which deserves the respect and so forth. So then these are the definitions. Masculine arahang is clear. For the, he says feminine is like this. Then he used a word panyatti vachaka arahanta sabda. I'm not sure about this. What does this mean? Panyatti vachaka. I'll check on this later. Arahanta arahasabda. But in some place it says itti ahosi araha ahosi. The lady became an arahant. She became an arahant. So here araha, the stem seems to be, it should be either, sometimes we can say araha, sometimes either arahantu, but that is not a proper way. So this is, if we take it as a feminine gender, the stem should be araha, right? Araha. So this is a usage of araha in future gender. He suggests arahang can be in masculine, in the same form, and also in the in different form, right? Different form. But he says in gachant, normally in the neuter gender, we have gachantang. This is how the neuter gender. This is masculine, feminine, neuter. But we don't find arahantang in neuter. We don't find this, he says. We have no usage in neuter gender like this. So these are the information I would like to share with you about this arahant. According to this book, it's a Sinhalese book, very profound book, gathering information from lots of books, like more than 100 books. So he suggests that, according to him, according to this Thera, arahant is used in all three genders as it is. But in Panyattivachaka, I'm not sure what does this mean. I'll discuss with my friend about this. In that case, araha is used in the feminine gender directly. Then arahantang is never in feminine gender. It's never used. Also, I have seen the word araha. In masculine gender. To my memory, I have seen this word araha in masculine gender. I'll do it some more further. I didn't have time to do some research on this. I will do some research, discuss with my friend, and let you know what is this thing is. Because asuko bhikkhu araha, yeah, in masculine gender, yeah, it's clear. It is found, araha is found in masculine gender, araha, masculine nude. So it seems like, right? So araha in feminine gender, araha in masculine gender. So in this, another special usage of araha. So this seems like this kind of usage, nominative singular, bhikkhu araha, asuko bhikkhu araha. So this kind of usage comes from, like, if you remember, gunavan. Gunavan. In traditionally we say gunavantu. So nominative singular of gunavan is gunava. So then this leads to a confusion. Now, what is the real stem of arahant? What is the real stem of arahant? Is it arahant or arahantu? Right? Because we find not two. Now the question comes: we find masculine gender. We find two definitions: nominative singular, arahang and araha. Araha comes from the tadbita noun, like month month. Arahang comes from ant month, right? Ant suffix, antamana, ant suffix. So this is a present participle. This one is a secondary derivative. It seems like gunava. So, but the thing is, if you say it guna month, there should be this va. This va should be there, right? So here we don't find any va. Right? We don't find any va. So it is not that. It's otherwise it had to be arahavan, right? It should be arahavan. We don't have such a word, arahavan. But now you can see nominative singular has a word araha, which is similar to the secondary derivative declination. So these are the points that I'm not giving a conclusion on this. These are the points that we find with regard to araha. So I conclude, I think I dumped in a lot of information. Normally, according to the Sinhalese book, arahang remains in the same form in all three genders. And also sometimes araha has become araha in feminine gender, and in masculine gender also we find the word araha, bhikkhu araha ahosi, itti araha ahosi, right? So how this nominative singular ended in long a, like sakha, like sa, right? So I'm not able to say, but this is very similar. This R ending nominative can be finding gunavant, but it can never be arahant. It is impossible, right? It is not, because otherwise the va should be there. So this R ending is also found in nominative singular. Yeah. So if you have any questions on this. Hello. Hello.
Bante?
Yeah.
Yes, Bante. I have question, but not related to the word. But I heard you said before that the female couldn't become the Sammasambuddha because it has to endure so many suffering. Bante, is that correct?
Yeah. Practicing to become a Buddha is not easy.
Oh, okay. Is that the only reason, Bante?
That is one of the main reasons.
The main reason, Bante.
Maybe there can be other reasons. Yeah, that is the main. Because dukkha is very difficult. Sammasambuddha is that you have to endure a lot of pain, mental and physical pain. Even men, like normally men can endure pain, right? Physical. Normally it's said that the females are able to endure mental pain than men. Researchers have found it normally, but found means seems like that. But physically, you have to be very strong. Mentally, you have to be very tough, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices to become a Sammasambuddha. Even not a ordinary being is able to do that. So our tradition holds the idea. Some tradition says females can become Sammasambuddhas, but Theravada tradition is clearly of the opinion that it can be done only by a male. But a female can become an arahant. There's no problem in that. The Sammasambuddhahood is a more daunting task.
Okay, Bante. Thank you very much, Bante.
With regard to this gachant, right? So sometimes now arahant, it remains in all three genders the same way. But also we can see sometimes this ant suffix has this quality. Like for example, janang. Janang is nominative of janan, nominative of jananta. Passang of nominative of passanta. So the fourth parajika we find janang passang. So ajanang, so it says without seeing, without knowing, you claim that you have known the Nibbana. Without seeing, you have seen the noble truths, or you have seen the supramundane qualities. Uttari Manusadhamma. This is how it comes for the Bhikkhu Patimokkha. But strangely, in the Bhikkhuni Patimokkha also, Yapana Bhikkhuni, Uttari Manusadhammang, like Yapana Bhikkhuni, Anabijanang, Uttari Manusadhammang, Atano Samudacharaye iti janami iti passami. So it says janang passang in the Bhikkhuni Patimokkha also. So the grammarians are of the opinion sometimes this gachant doesn't, in feminine gender, doesn't change into gachanti or gachati. It remains as it is. There are evidences for that. So that's why arahang also remains in the feminine gender as it is. That's what teacher is suggesting. There are clear evidences of jananta passanta being used in the nominative entity. Masculine, like a masculine form. Okay. So yeah, these are the questions. I think the time has passed a lot. If you try this question, could you please give more information on Ubaya Mantara? It will take some time. So shall we call it a day today?
Okay, Bande.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bante.
Like, okay, sorry. I would also like to say I need to take a few days of rest because I have some private work to be done. So there will be no classes for the coming 2 weeks, and I'm hopefully will start on the third week, and I'll let you know in the Viber group when we will start the class.